people, the Irish have had a significant impact on the growth and development of the labor movement in the United States. Our next two inductees into the Hall of Fame are examples of that influence. In addition, the influence also resides in story and song. Here to give us some wonderful songs that express the Irish influence on the American labor movement is Mr. Rory Macomb, son of the great Tommy Macomb, who was a 2012 inductee into the Hall of Fame. Welcome, Rory.
Thanks very much, Katie. My sister's name was Katie, and every time we visit my granny, she'd say, Katie, Katie, you're the only girl that I adore. And when the moon shines over the mountain, I'll be waiting at the kitchen door. Granny would sing every time. It's a great honor to be asked to come here and sing a few songs for George Meany, Mother Jones, and my father, having been inducted just 2 years ago. My old man was a gold, skilled in the olden trade, in the stinking heat of the iron foundry. My old man was made. He was down on his knees in the mold and sand. He wore his trade like a company friend. He was one of the Cyclops, smoky man. Yes, that is my old man. My old man wasn't really old, just that I was young. And anybody over 12 years old was halfway to the tomb. He was loyal to his workmates all of his life. He gave his pay back into his. He had a few jars on a Saturday night. Yes, that was my old man. My old man was a union man. He worked hard all his days, and he understood the system and was wise to the boss's ways. He said, if you want what's yours by right, you'll have to struggle with all your might. They'll rob you blind if you don't fight, son. That was my old man. Well, my old man was a proud old man at home on the foundry floor, until the day they laid him off and they showed him to the door. They gave him his card and said, things are slack. We got a machine to learn the knack of doing your job, so don't come back. The end of my old man. Well, my old man, he was 51. Now what was he to do? A craftsman molded her on the door in 1932. He felt he had given all he could live, so he did what thousands of others did. He abandoned hope and the will to live. They killed him, my old man. My old man, he is dead and gone. Now I am your old man. And my advice to you, my son, is to fight back while you can. Watch out for the man with the silicon chip. Hold on to your job with a firm grip. Because if you don't, you'll have had your chips the same as my old man. My old man was a good old, skilled in the mold and trade. In the stinking heat of the iron foundry, my old man was made. He was loyal to his workmates all his life. He gave his pay back into his wife. He had a few jars on a Saturday night. Yes, that is my old man. 1938, 1941, in Harlan County, Kentucky, coal miners went on strike. And as was the case in the times, most of the county was run by the men who owned the mines. They had the soldiers and they had the police in their back pocket. There was a union leader by the name of Sam Reese. And he was sitting at home and he heard that they were coming together. Their way to deal with men like him was to just kill them. And so he left, and he left his wife and his 7 children in the house. And the sheriff showed up with his men, and they waited outside for Sam, and he never showed back up. But his wife and 7 children were inside, and they watched these men who wanted to kill him. Well, Sam's wife wrote a song about the whole incident, and it became very popular for union organizations everywhere. Come all of you good workers, good news to you I'll tell, of how the mighty unions are coming here well. My daddy was a miner, and I'm a miner's son, and I'll stick with the union till the great battle is won. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on? They say in Harlan County there are no neutrals there. You'll either be a union man or a buck for James Square. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on? Come on, you good workers, come tell me if you can. Will you be a lousy scab or will you be a man? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on? Don't scab for the bosses, don't listen to their lies. Us poor folks have to got a chance unless we organize. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on? Solidarity forever, solidarity forever, solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong. When the union inspiration through the workers must show up, there will be no power greater anywhere beneath the sun. What force on earth is greater than the people rise at one? But the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever, solidarity forever, solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever, solidarity forever, solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong.
Great. Thanks, Rory. And my mom just told me that she went on a celebrity cruise with your dad, Rory. I think she might be a little bit of a groupie. She was a big fan. And I saw him about 20 years ago when I was just a young girl. And I was a bit of a groupie of yours too, Rory. Passing it down. Wonderful music. To recognize Catherine O'Connell, who's here, the amazing singer. She sang at my wedding. This boyhood in the Bronx. Considered the builder of the modern AFL-CIO, Meany joined the union as an apprentice at the age of 16, working as a plumber in New York for the next decade. Woohoo! We need our plumbers. Plumbers, woohoo! Might call you in about a week if I'm having some problems. In 1920, Meany was elected as the youngest member of the local union's executive board, and 2 years later became a full-time business agent. During the 1920s, Meany was active on behalf of his local in both the New York City Central Labor Council and the New York State Federation of Labor, where he ran successfully for president in 1934. Meany was elected Secretary-Treasurer of the National American Federation of Labor, the AFL, in 1939. As second in command to President William Greene, Meany played an important role in the formation of the War Labor Board, which helped spur the growth of union membership during the Second World War. Meany took responsibility for the Federation's international activities. While still in New York, working with the Jewish Labor Committee, he actively supported German trade unionists fleeing the Nazis. He insisted on the inclusion of workers' rights in the post-war Marshall Plan. His leadership led to the creation of the International Confederation of Free Trade Unions at the end of the war. I was going to thank the sisters for teaching me to read so well. Meany was elected to the presidency of the AFL in 1952 and assumed the leadership of a divided labor movement. Many of the nation's industrial unions were part of the Congress of Industrial Organizations, CIO, which had been created in the 1930s. He immediately sought to unify the movement, an effort that culminated in the founding convention of the AFL-CIO in 1955. Meany was elected unanimously as the first president of the March Labor Federation. Under his leadership, the American labor movement won unprecedented gains for ordinary working Americans, especially during the Kennedy and Johnson administrations. Meany, a staunch supporter of civil and equal rights his entire career, put the Federation's muscle behind the civil rights movement, insisting that the historic 1964 Civil Rights Act called for an end to both workplace and community discrimination. In 1979, Meany stepped down as the president of the AFL-CIO, and he died in 1980. To accept his induction into the Irish American Hall of Fame, please welcome George Meany's grandson, George Meany Lutz.
On behalf of the Meany family, which is represented today by myself, my wife, Amy Lutz, and George Meany's great-grandson, Matthew Ahor, I thank you for this high honor. When I first spoke with Tim Taylor about this evening, I asked whether I would be expected to make a few remarks. I didn't know anything about the event. I didn't know what the format was, how many would be inducted, and how many would be in attendance. So I asked him, should I speak for 3 minutes, 30 minutes? I just didn't know. And he said, well, you can make whatever remarks you feel are appropriate, but if you keep them to 3 minutes, somebody will buy you a free beer in the Fifth Province after dinner. Tim certainly knows how to throw down an incentive, and so I'm going to keep my remarks brief. Those remarks consist of 2 revealing stories about my grandfather. It was a great privilege to be able to observe at close range the private side of a public figure. And when I was growing up in the 1960s and 70s, my grandfather was a very public figure. He was considered by members of the press and the public to be a rough, cigar-chomping union boss. Well, he was rough, and he did love cigars, and he was this country's preeminent labor leader for 25 years. But to his grandchildren, he was just Papa. George Meany had 14 grandchildren, and one of his favorite ways to entertain us was to favor us with a rendition of either An Irish Eyes Are Smiling or Galway Bay while accompanying himself on the piano. Despite his rough image, George Meany was a very talented pianist. As for his singing ability, well, he was a very talented pianist. What he lacked in singing talent, however, he made up for with enthusiasm. My mother passed away a few weeks ago on March 18th because she was not going to miss St. Patrick's Day. And after she died, we were sorting through her things and found many family photographs. One of those photographs was taken at the reception following my Aunt Eileen's wedding. Facing the camera is my grandfather at a piano bench, the ever-present cigar clenched in his teeth, and he is enthusiastically playing and singing. Behind him, also facing the camera, are his three daughters, my mother Genevieve, my Aunt Eileen in her wedding gown, and my Aunt Regina. In the foreground, with her back to the camera, is my grandfather's first grandchild, Regina's daughter, Eileen. Eileen was about 3 years old at the time and is wearing a beautiful white dress with a festive hat and even elegant white gloves. She must have been thrilled. She was all dressed up and was the flower girl at her Aunt Eileen's wedding. In the photo, little Eileen is looking up at her grandfather as he sings to her, and she's going like this. As we circulated that photo, all the grandchildren saw ourselves in a variation of that scene. You know what he's singing, we said, when Irish eyes are smiling, and haven't we all been there? The second story is my favorite story of the many my grandfather told me. As many of you know, for 3 days in June of 1963, President John F. Kennedy visited Ireland. On June 27th, Kennedy met with 15 members of his extended Irish family at the Kennedy homestead in Dunganstown, County Wexford. Traveling with the president that day were his sisters, Eunice and Jean, the American ambassador to Ireland, Matt McCloskey, and my grandfather. President Kennedy had appointed my grandfather as this country's delegate to the International Labor Organization, an arm of the United Nations. The ILO had a meeting in Europe at the same time as the president's trip, and when Kennedy found that out, he invited my grandfather to join him on June 27th, knowing my grandfather's Irish background. It was a warm day, and at the homestead, the visitors were treated to an outdoor picnic lunch in the backyard. It apparently was a little more elegant than most of the picnic lunches I've had, with linen tablecloths and waiters. The press was given the opportunity to take some photographs for a few minutes, and during that time, my grandfather ordered a beer, which a waiter poured for him out of a bottle and set the glass and the half-full bottle of beer down in front of him. The president, apparently thinking that a photo of him drinking a beer was politically inappropriate, declined the waiter's offer. After a few minutes, the photographers were ushered out of the yard, and just after the last one turned the corner and was out of sight, the president reached across the table, grabbed a bottle of beer, and drained it with one long swig. He put down the empty bottle and said, "George, I've been looking at that bottle for the last 5 minutes. I thought those guys would never leave." To me, both these stories teach that despite one's lofty position or high responsibility, what often means the most is the delight one gets from torturing a granddaughter with a favorite Irish song or sharing a cold beer on a hot day with a fellow son of Ireland. My grandfather would have loved this evening, although he would have spent time at the plumber's table, most of the time at the plumber's table talking about whatever plumbers talk about. And my family is deeply honored that you have recognized him in this manner. Thank you.
Okay, I think we all need to sing a little Irish Irish Minor. Should we do it? Irish as feathers are smiling, all the world seems bright and gay. Irish laughter, you can hear the angels sing. When Irish eyes are happy, all the world seems bright and gay. up here, Catherine O'Connell. Could have done a much better job. Yeah. Our next public service inductee story takes us back to the 1800s and the earliest days of the labor movement in the United States. Mary Harris Mother Jones immigrated with her family from Cork at the age of 5. She worked as a teacher in Michigan and as a seamstress in Chicago before moving to Memphis. In 1861, she married an iron worker with the last name of Jones, and thus began her introduction to the American labor movement. Her entire family died in the yellow fever epidemic, actually, of 1867. So she left Memphis behind and returned to Chicago. She could not escape tragedy, however, and lost everything she owned in the Great Chicago Fire of 1871. She found solace at nights of labor meetings, and after 1877, single-mindedly dedicated herself to improving life for working people. As the nation moved from an agrarian to an industrial economy, more and more Americans found themselves poor, for the rampant capitalism of the late 19th century was based on low wages and long hours, when work was to be had. Unemployment was a certainty. The economy swung wildly and workers had no pensions, health care, or other insurance. It was to these people that Mary Jones appealed, and their love and admiration for her is apparent in the appellation of Mother Jones, by which she became known. She later organized strikes for the United Mine Workers and co-founded the Industrial Workers of the World. Perhaps her best-known campaign was the Children's Crusade, in which she led child workers on a march from Pennsylvania to President Theodore Roosevelt's home in New York, with the slogan, "We want to go to school and not the mines." Mother Jones helped revolutionize the way America treats its child laborers. I think we might have someone here, actually. Oh, Mother Jones? Oh, Mother Jones! I never thought I'd run into Mother Jones in person. How's it going? Yes, ma'am. Would you like my microphone? I'll get her upset. Hold on. Might have to come up here, Mother Jones. By the way, I'm not having my daughter do the laundry and clean the kitchen anymore. I felt guilty. Child labor laws.
Sisters, brothers, fellow citizens, we have before us today the emancipation of the children of this nation. The capitalist class has met you face to face today. They take the girls as well as the boys out of the cradle. Wherever you are in mighty numbers, they built their factories to take your daughters and slaughter them on the altar of greed. They built their mines with breakers to take your boys out of the cradle. They built their factories to take your girls. They built on the bleeding, quivering hearts of yourselves and your children, their palaces. They built their almighty yachts and palaces. God Almighty, come with me and see the wrecks, the tiny children of babies. Modern industrial capitalism inflicts poverty and powerlessness on so many people. I'm going to show Wall Street the flesh and blood from which it squeezes its wealth. I shudder for the future of a nation that is building up a moneyed aristocracy out of the lifeblood of children. The employment of children is doing more to fill prisons, insane asylums, almshouses, slums, and gin shops than all the efforts of reformers are doing to improve society. My friends, the mothers of this nation will join hands with you in the mighty struggle ahead. No more will the mother reach down into the cradle, take the babe out of it, and sell it for so many hours a day to the capitalist masters. Younger people here today can go back with me to the time of chattel slavery, when the babe was torn from the mother's breast and soul. As she mourned and wailed and pleaded with a God of justice to give him a chance to save that child. And my friends, when that babe was taken from her, she had no other redress than to lie down on Mother Earth and to ask if it was for this reason and purpose that her babe was sent to her. But my friends, we have done away with all that so far as the chattel is concerned. We have transferred it all to the little white slave. When I look into the faces of the helpless children and see their appealing eyes, it touches the tender chords of a mother's heart. I stand before you today on behalf of the helpless children, organized labor and humanity. Demand protection for these helpless victims of insatiable greed. I have seen your children murdered. Murdered. You are living in America. America, where Patrick Henry and Jefferson lived, those heroes of days gone by. The day of child slavery has got to end. The miners and railroad boys of Birmingham, Alabama entertained me some years ago with a graphic description of the conditions among the slaves of the southern cotton mills. I imagine this must be something of a modern-day Siberia, I concluded. The boys are overdrawing the picture much. And I decided to go for myself to see conditions described. I applied for a job in Cottondale, Alabama. And the manager of the mill told me, well, you nothing for me, unless I had a family that could work also. But I told him I was bringing my family to Cottondale. But I'd come on ahead to see what chances there were for getting work. Are you children? He asked. Oh yes, there are 6 of us. I was so enthusiastic, he went with me to find a house to rent. As he brought me to was a sort of a 2-story plank shanty. Its windows were broken, the door sagged open, its latch was broken. It had one room downstairs and an unfinished loft upstairs. Through the cracks in the ceiling, the rain had come in and rotted the flooring. Downstairs there was a big old open fireplace, in front of which were holes big enough to drop bricks through. The manager was delighted with the house. When the rain will come through these holes, I told him. He did not. Well, it'll be summer soon, you'll need all the air you can get. But I don't know if this house is big enough for the 6 of us. Not big enough, he stared at me. Well, what y'all want? A hotel? I told him, I'd take the house, promising to send for my family by the end of the month, when they could get things wound up at the farm. And I was given a job in the factory. And there I saw the children. Little children work. The most heart-rending spectacle in all life. Little girls and boys barefooted run up and down between the spindles, reaching thin little hands into the machinery to tie snap threads. They crawl under the machinery to oil it. They replace spindles all day long. Night. Toddling chaps of 6 years old are brought to the factory to help the older brother or sister attend, but their labour's not paid. The machines built in the north are built for the hands of tiny children. At 5:30 in the morning, long lines of little grey children come out to the early dawn into the factories, into the maddening blues, into the lint-filled rooms. Outside the birds sing and the blue skies shine. At the lunch hour they fall asleep over their lunch of cornbread and fat pork. Then they lie on the bare floor and sleep. Sleep's a recreation, their release, as play is to the freed child. The boss comes along and shakes them awake. After the lunch hour, the ceaseless running up and down between the spindles. Babies, tiny children. Often the little ones, they're afraid to go home alone in the night. Then they sleep till sunrise on the floor. That is when the mills are running a bit slack and the all-night shift work shorter hours. I used to go home with them after the day's work was done and the night shift went off duty. They were too tired to eat. With their clothing on, they dropped on the beds to sleep. To sleep. The one happiness these children know. But they had Sundays for the mill owners out and little folks themselves are pious. To Sunday school go all the babies in the mill, there to hear how God had inspired the mill owners to come down and build the mills, so as to give his little ones work, that they might develop into industrious, patriotic citizens and earn money to give to the missionaries to convert the poor, unfortunate heathen Chinese. My 6 children not arrived and the monitor got suspicious of me, so I left Avila and I went to Tuscaloosa, where I got to work in a rope factory. This factory was also run by child labor. Here too were the little children running up and down between the spindles. The lint was heavy in the room, the machinery needed constant cleaning. The tiny, slender bodies of little children crawled in and about under dangerous machinery. Often a hand was crushed, a finger snapped off. A father and 2 little girls worked the loom next to the one assigned to me. "Oh, how old are the children?" I asked. "Oh, that's what he said." He pointed to a little girl, round-shouldered and thin-chested, who was threatened to work. "Oh, that one is 6 and 10 days. And that's what he said. He pointed to a pair of thin legs like twigs sticking out from between the spindles. "That one is 7 and 3 months. "Oh, how long do they work?" I asked. "From 6 in the evening till 6 come morning." "Oh, how much do they get?" 10 cents a night. "And you?" "Well, I get 40. Fellow toilers, we have gathered here today for a purpose. Every movement made in the history of human civilization has an underlying purpose. We've reached the century in human civilization when the charge of human slavery must forever disappear. I rise to ask the American people, am I my children's keeper? If we could raise up humanity to obviate all strength, what a glorious world this would be. But constituted as it is, society inflicts hardships on those least able to bear them. We must work for peace and goodwill for all mankind. Children yet unborn will rise and bless you. Take the children out of the mills and mines and sweatshops. Allow them to develop their bodies and minds and souls. These children are to be the future citizens of America. Yes, pray. Pray for the dead. And fight like hell for the living. God bless you. Thank you.
O'Brien. Do we have any former IAHP presidents here? I know we have Bob McNamara. Where are you, Bob? Where is he? Bob. Where's Bob? Bob McNamara. There he is. All right. Who? There we are. Hello there. Back to our regularly scheduled program. To accept the induction of Mother Jones, we are very pleased to have Larry Spivack. Spivack. Did I pronounce that correctly, Larry? No, we want to pronounce it by an Irish American community. Is it Spivack? Spivack? Spivack! See, I want to do it right. Sorry, Larry Spivack. He's the Regional Director of the Illinois Labor History Society with us this evening, and please welcome him to the stage.
Thank you, Katie. Oh my goodness, to get a properly poured Guinness, oh that was wonderful, thank you. Not everybody can do that. Hey, I think that Mother Jones is up for beatification too. So, by the way, you got my name right, but my title is actually President of the Illinois Labor History Society, but I'm also Regional Director with my brothers in the AFL-CIO, the plumbers, my hero of mine, George Meany, because I am Regional Director with AFSCME Council 31 in Illinois, a member of the largest union in the AFL-CIO today, representing public employees throughout the country and representing the dignity of all labor, that Mother Jones has talked about, that all of you are from, is Irish immigrants. You came here to do the work, And you weren't respected until you organized, and Mother Jones got our children out of the mines and took them out of the factories. I just lost my statement. But I know you didn't want to come to a one-union meeting, and Tim said that if I could keep it under 2 minutes, I would be inducted into next year's Hall of Fame. And I said, look at all the boxes up there. My cousin, Barney Ross, world welterweight champion at 37, 38, World War II hero. You saw the movie Monkey on My Back. That was him. But the thing is, I don't think that this Hall of Fame has ever had a Jew before inducted, so I don't know. I might go on to this start. In any event, it is a serious matter on one hand, but Mother Jones was somebody who would understand that we celebrate while we fight. When we talk about the Irish spirit, the Hellraisers, the fighters, the fighting Irish, and the labor movement, it's all connected. And it's not just about the Irish, it's about all immigrants in America and the fighting Irish that were immigrants. Today's immigrants is the same struggle, and you know that. And that's what it's about. And my former friends and my friends in the AFL-CIO, we figured that out, and that this fight is going to continue in the name of Mother Jones. This Mother Jones, right now, if she was here, Mother, where are you? She would be saying McDonald's workers, Walmart workers, low-wage workers deserve the dignity that everybody else has got. Before I say a couple other words, though, from York to Illinois and back to court, Mother Jones, in some ways, wouldn't have recognition today if it wasn't for a very special woman, who, by the way, was the first female cable splicer for Illinois Bell, Margaret Harrington Fulkerson, and she just has a very short reading.
So happy to be here tonight for the induction of Mother Jones into the Irish American Hall of Fame. But I have to tell you that no one is happier than Chair Alma, President of the Court of Mother Jones Festival Committee, who is raising his glass tonight for Mother Jones. Thank you.
The Irish American Heritage Center and the committee, first of all, if you go to the museum, there's a permanent collection, and Mother Jones has a piece in there, and Court Maryland thanks all of you and the committee for inducting her into this year's Irish Hall of Fame. I think actually I've said everything that I want to say because Mother Jones told me, we talk all the time, you know, she's been dead since 1930, but we talk all the time. And I talk, she's up there and all around, and you know, I always want to say St. Patrick's, but I guess it's St. Peter. And the first time she was up there, and St. Peter says, "You have to tell me why you were born here." And Mother Jones says, "I don't have to explain anything. I'm a hellraiser. What the hell are you doing? Get out of my way. I got some angels to organize." Thank you.